Michael Bloomberg, the billionaire Republican, ex-Republican, now running in the Democratic primary, is starting to take shots at Bernie Sanders. Now, since there's not actually a lot that you can attack Bernie Sanders specifically on, he decides to go after Bernie supporters and continue the toxic Bernie bro narrative. Take a look at that in his newest ad campaign.
It is vitally important for those of us who hold different views to be able to engage in a civil discourse.
I love the addition of the scary music. Like, I'm going to put these mean tweets to scary music. Oh my God, toxic, scary Bernie bros. It almost sounds like it's out of place. Like it's a thriller, like a slasher film or something. Like, he's coming after you in the shower. Here comes the toxic Bernie bro trying to give you healthcare. I know look, it's ridiculous, right? I saw like a Yang Gang thing in there too, by the way. So I don't know, like all the different like interactions I've had with the Yang Gang were always pleasant. So I don't know what the issue is. So now, in response, because there's going to be a response, a Bernie supporter has put together their own ad, and it's kind of awesome. Take a look.
Black and Latino males aged, let's say, 16 to 25, don't know how to behave in the workplace.
Zakai told her boss, Michael Bloomberg, she was pregnant.
She thought he would be pleased, and he said to her, kill it.
Oh, damn. I love that, especially at the end. Paid for by no one. You know why? Because that's important. Because Bloomberg's ad paid for by Michael Bloomberg, a billionaire. He's got billions of dollars. So that's basically an astroturfed ad. But then you had somebody, a Bernie Sanders supporter. By the way, this was posted up on at Bernie Watchdog. And so I'm going to give credit where credit is due. That's where this video, that's who posted this and created this. So big, huge credit to them. It's got over 688,000 views, by the way, on Twitter alone. Again, that's amazing, right? And so this, I mean, look, you want to take on Bernie Sanders supporters? Well, okay, do it at your peril. It copied the exact format of Bloomberg's ad down to the scary music. Oh, but the Bloomberg quotes, man. Oh, these black people, they don't know how to behave. Immediately disqualifying. I do not understand how Bloomberg has any sort of black support after this. It should be in absolute tatters. And we're the mainstream media. And this is what's upsetting, right? On MSNBC, it's constantly attacking Bernie while giving kid gloves to Bloomberg, saying all the nice things about Bloomberg and then going after Bernie supporters and Bernie Sanders himself. And so that's what you see. MSNBC is basically turned into liberal Fox News. And that's unfortunately the truth of it, right? So now I am kind of bummed that some of my tweets were not in the attack one. But hey, look, it's just like the CNN story with the mean tweets, right? They did this whole segment on say Bernie's army of mean tweeters. Well, look, if you don't want to be dunked on or ratioed for saying disingenuous garbage, I've got some advice for you. Don't say disingenuous garbage. But here's what's going on. We're literally in a war against disinformation from people who are literally bad faith actors. People who are either grifters who attack Bernie Sanders because he represents the end of the grift, or political pundits who also basically are doing this for their jobs. For example, you have Chuck Todd. Chuck Todd literally called Bernie Sanders supporters brown shirts, Nazis, right? Bernie Sanders is Jewish, and he lost many members of his family to the Holocaust. Did Chuck Todd face any sort of official pushback? No. Instead, he got, ratioed on Twitter, and then he turned around, and the establishment turns around and says, I can't believe these mean Bernie bros are saying terrible things about Chuck Todd. That's the situation that we find ourselves in. You got Chris Matthews saying, oh man, I don't know. I think Bernie Sanders, he would cheer it on if the Soviets were shooting people in Central Park, were executing people in Central Park. I don't know. Maybe it's Denmark, and that's all, and that's fine. But maybe it's not. I don't know where Bernie Sanders stands. Literally, Bernie Sanders has been on the scene since. Well, look, he's been there forever. I remember watching him on MSNBC back in 2010 when Ed Schultz would bring him on a show. I remember listening to Brunch with Bernie on the Tom Hartman program. And so he's been around for a long time. Chris Matthews, you have no excuse not to know who the hell he is. Oh, but of course, he ignores it completely, ignores Bernie Sanders, and now spreads disingenuous BS, saying, I have no idea who this guy is. He could be a communist. Ridiculous. Not only that, but I've showed you Joyanne Reid calling in body language experts to try to insinuate that Bernie Sanders is sexist and that he's a liar. You have MSNBC putting up ridiculous graphics that combine all the results from Klobuchar and Biden, and they combine them all into this monstrous Pokemon thing called a booted Klobiten monster, right? Also, they can add up his numbers and say, look at the centrists. They would win. They would totally win. I mean, Bernie Sanders, his victory, even though he won, if you put him against all of them all at once, well, then obviously they would beat Bernie Sanders. So they're obviously the winners. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. And of course, the coup de grace, right, is now saying that Bernie Sanders winning. Oh, if he wins the Nevada caucus. Very diverse state, Nevada, by the way, with a very, very powerful labor union that has ties to the Democratic Party, Harry Reid especially, Culinary, I think 144. Culinary, by the way, that union doesn't like Bernie Sanders. At least the leadership of that union doesn't. They've been running ads against him and putting out flyers against him. And then also perpetuating the Bernie bro myth, this narrative against supporters of Bernie Sanders. Well, even if they still can, fail to prevent Bernie Sanders from winning the Nevada caucus, which, by the way, if he doesn't win Nevada, they're like, that's it, Bernie Sanders is over. He'll never win anything again, right? But if he wins, now they're saying, it's not that important. Really not that important at all. No, in order to win, you need to be like Amy Klobuchar and get third place. That's who the real winner is, Amy Klobuchar. They've become a parody of themselves. And so that's disinformation. Not only that, but we're also fighting against misinformation coming up from candidates about things like Medicare for All, Green New Deal. For example, they put up ridiculously false industry talking points that preserve a system that allows 68,000 people to die needlessly because they can't afford health care. Joe Biden has said that it will cost an additional $32 trillion a year to do Medicare for all. That's false. A new study says that we would actually save about $450 billion. Buttigieg says we're preserving choice, when right now, literally people have been documented having to choose between heart medication and insulin because they can't afford both. They say the policies are unworkable, unrealistic. That's absolutely not true. 32 out of 33 modern industrialized countries already have some form of universal health care, many single payer. So why are we the only one that can't seem to get our crap together and actually do it? Now, these, of course, grifters and these candidates, they do not have the facts on their side. And it's really sad because now Elizabeth Warren is saying, well, Bernie Sanders, his foundation, the foundation of his campaign is based on hate. Elizabeth Warren used to have plans for everything, right? She no longer has a plan. She no longer touts those plans. What she does now is attack Bernie Sanders. And so that is super, super sad to see. Okay. And so when they back away from policy positions, which Bernie Sanders has maintained, I've got policies, this is how we're going to do them, but we need you to help us get this done. That's the whole message of Bernie Sanders, not me, us. Okay. Well, the establishment does not have that. And so guess what they go to? Mean Bernie Bros online. These people, mainly in media or also in power on the Democratic side, are so used to being not called out or even touched or tweaked at all. They're used to reigning on high without any sort of pushback from regular people, so convinced of their moral superiority that they believe themselves above reproach. And when their awful positions or support of someone like Michael Bloomberg is called out, they just can't believe it. How dare you? You are dividing the party, you toxic, mean Bernie bro. Well, you know what? Who's actually united? The party. The people are united against you guys. The party right now is unifying under Bernie Sanders. Not the party apparatus, but the voters. He's getting the most votes so far. He's got the most support. His plans are deeply popular with the base. So this ad hitting back against Bloomberg is a show of that, of what having a deeply invested political base can do. And by the way, this is how you beat Trump, by having an army. If you don't have an army of dedicated, passionate supporters willing to stand up and to talk about the truth and to stand up not only for each other, but against Trump and the establishment and their army, then you know what? You're not going to win, and you might as well not even try. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.